The school sat at the edge of the valley like something forgotten. Snow pressed against its red brick walls, piling softly along the base where children once lined up with wool hats and mittens, stamping their feet against the cold. The windows were dark now, blinds drawn since early November, when the district had decided the old rural building would close. For the winter term, heating costs were too high, roads too unreliable. Lessons would resume in spring. A hand-painted sign still hung on the double front doors, slightly crooked. Its blue letters faded by frost and wind, closed until further notice. Margaret Ellis noticed the paw prints on a Tuesday morning. She had been retired for 3 years, but habit still brought her past the school each day, walking the same path she had followed for nearly 4 decades. At 71, her pace was slower, her knees stiff in the cold, but her eyes were sharp. Teachers learned that early or failed quickly. The prints crossed the playground in a straight line. No wandering, no circling. Large paws, heavy, they came from the tree line, moved past the swings frozen in place, and ended at the steps beneath the front doors. And there, sitting as still as the stone lion that once guarded the town library, was a German shepherd. He was large, thick-coated, his fur darkened by snow clinging along his spine and tail. His posture was perfect, back straight, head lifted, ears alert. He faced the doors as if expecting them to open at any moment. Margaret stopped without realizing she had done so. She'd seen dogs wander through town before. Farm dogs, strays passing through. This one was different. He didn't pace. He didn't sniff or scratch or dig at the snow. He simply sat, waiting. "Morning," she said quietly, her breath clouding the air. The dog didn't turn. Margaret stood there longer than she meant to, the cold seeping through the soles of her boots. Eventually she continued on, but she glanced back once more before turning the corner. The dog hadn't moved. The next morning, fresh snow had fallen overnight, erasing every mark the world had made the day before. Margaret half expected the playground to be untouched again. Instead, the same paw prints stretched across the white expanse. The dog was there. By the end of the week, others noticed too. Arthur Finch, the school caretaker, paused mid-shovel one morning, leaning on the handle as he studied the animal. Arthur had worked those grounds for 22 years. He knew every crack in the pavement, every loose brick. "That dog's been coming every day," he muttered to no one in particular. Margaret nodded. "Always the same place." Arthur squinted. "Not a stray. Look at him. Too clean. Too calm." They stood together in the cold, the sound of wind brushing bare branches overhead. When Arthur stepped closer, the dog's ears twitched, but his body stayed still, gaze fixed on the doors. Arthur sighed. "I'll call animal control." He did. Someone came 2 days later, parked a van at the edge of the drive, watched for a few minutes, then shrugged. "He's not causing trouble," the man said. "And he won't come to me." That was true. No matter who approached, the dog never followed. He accepted food only after people stepped away. Water bowls froze within hours. Blankets placed near him were ignored unless positioned exactly beside the steps. December settled in like a long breath, held too tight. Snow came heavier, staying longer. Roads narrowed. The school grounds fell into deeper silence, broken only by the scrape of shovels and the soft crunch of boots. Every morning, the paw prints appeared, and every morning the dog waited. Margaret began carrying biscuits in her coat pocket. She didn't know why at first. Perhaps it was habit again. Years of keeping treats for nervous children, stickers, spare pencils. On the 3rd day, she finally knelt and placed one on the ground a few feet from him. He didn't move. Only when she stood and stepped back did he lower his head. Take it gently and return to his watch. It became a ritual. People talked, as people always do in small towns. Some said the dog had belonged to a farmer who passed away. Others claimed he'd been abandoned when the school closed. Children home for the holidays pressed their faces to car windows, whispering as their parents slowed. "He looks sad," one little girl said. Margaret found herself remembering things she hadn't thought about in years. A boy named Daniel. He had been quiet, small for his age, with hair that never stayed combed. He liked to sit on the front steps after school, waiting for his mother to finish work. And sometimes beside him, there had been a German shepherd, back when the dog was younger, all legs and enthusiasm. Daniel used to read aloud to that dog. Margaret could still hear his voice, halting but determined, sounding out words with care. The dog would lie with his head on his paws, eyes following Daniel's finger along the page. January came with sharper cold and longer nights. Snowbanks grew taller than the fence. The town moved slower. People worried about the dog now, not just his presence, but his endurance. Arthur tried again. We can't let him freeze. They built a small shelter near the steps, tucked against the wall. The dog ignored it. One night, a storm came hard and sudden, wind howling through the valley. Margaret didn't sleep much. She lay awake listening to the house creak, imagining the school steps buried beneath drifts. At dawn, she pulled on her coat and walked. The paw prints were there, though shallower now, edges softened by blowing snow. The dog sat hunched slightly against the wind, but he was still there. Margaret felt something settle heavy in her chest then, a knowing she hadn't allowed herself before. She stopped calling him the dog in her mind. She called him Max. It came to her without effort, as if she'd always known. By mid-January, the town council took notice. Someone pulled records. Names were mentioned quietly, carefully. Daniel Foster. He had disappeared 5 winters ago, a school day like any other. He'd walked home through the woods, bordering the stream. There had been ice that year, thin and deceptive. Search teams found his backpack near the bank. No body, no clear answers. The case had been closed with the word people hated most. Accident. Margaret sat at her kitchen table when she heard hands wrapped around a cooling cup of tea. Snow tapped gently against the window. Max had been Daniel's dog. Everything fell into place then. The straight line of the paw prints, the patience, the focus. The way Max faced the doors, as if waiting for a boy to come running late. Backpack bouncing, apologizing breathlessly. The realization didn't bring drama or shock. It brought silence. The next morning, Margaret arrived earlier than usual. Snow drifted sideways, stinging her cheeks. The world felt narrowed to white and gray. Max was there. She approached slowly and sat beside him on the cold stone step. The chill seeped through her coat, but she didn't move away. "You've been very good," she whispered. Max's ears lifted slightly. "He's not coming," she said, voice breaking despite herself. "I think you know that." For the first time all winter, Max turned his head. Their eyes met. There was no confusion there, no fear, only a deep, quiet knowing. The wind rattled the loose bell inside the school. Max stood, walked to the door and pressed his nose gently against the wood. Then he lay down. Not in waiting, in rest. The days that followed felt different. Max no longer sat rigidly by the doors. He moved now, slowly, often to the oak tree at the edge of the playground. Children returning for the spring term found him there, calm and watchful. He allowed hands to rest on his head. He accepted company. Margaret retired officially that summer. On her last walk past the school, she stopped beneath the oak tree. Max rose stiffly, older now but steady. "You did good," she told him. The town placed a small plaque near the steps. No names, just words. Love remembers. And sometimes, when snow falls unexpectedly, people swear they see paw prints leading to the school doors again, if only for a moment.